Good morning. Yes, there have been some unexpected developments at this gathering already. My wife and I showed up yesterday. We're pulling into that horseshoe driveway. I see this big building, and my first thought, no lie, was like, that looks like a plantation. Racism joke, check! Oh, there we go. Boom, you didn't even know that, but you knew, but you didn't know. And I'm like, if it were in Georgia or Louisiana or South Carolina, that would make some sense. You got some architectural heritage, but this is Napa. That's just an aggressive choice. So I feel attacked a little bit by that. I did not have on my particular bingo card coming to a privacy-first, digital-forward technology gathering and being handed so many pieces of paper. So I really appreciate the tactile distribution of information. It's OG. There's new G, but that was OG, and I respect that as an OG person myself. I would love I want to play a little interactive game with y'all as well. Raise your hands if you have installed OpenClaw. Raise your hands if you got an OpenClaw instance running. Okay, now keep your hands up. I want everybody to look around. This is what we know as a distributed distrust network. They are vectors of very insecure code into. No, we're in a magic and amazing moment. And I had some thoughts when Trisha first invited me to speak here and to address you, but they were upended because we have a year's worth of news every day. And last week, I want to share some details of this story. Scott Shambaugh, he helps run an open source project called Matplotlib. They have a policy of not having bots submit code, right? It's just a human first, human only code repo for open source projects. And so he rejected the submission of a bot, an OpenClaw bot, whose delightful name was Krabby Rathbun, Avi. And so the bot didn't take it well. The bot actually decided to do opposition research on Scott and then spin up a blog post doing a takedown of Scott, going into his own code and some into his personal life. This is a true thing that has just happened. And that is hilarious to me, but also terrifying. And the bot said things about Scott like, I quote, "This is discrimination disguised as inclusivity. This is prejudice over meritocracy. You are gatekeeping growth." He basically accused Scott of being like an anti-AI speciesist, thingist, entityist. Racist? I don't know, we keep coming back to racism. It's America, that happens a lot. I like y'all. And whoever had that laugh, yo, we are family. Oh, that's, yes. So we're here to talk about human agency, but I want to expand the conversation. What happens when the agentic AIs are claiming pieces of agency, and what could we do if we expanded the concept of agency itself beyond what's being sold to us as the topic? So yes, my name is Baratunde Thurston. I'm a storyteller trying to weave tales of how we live well with the planet, with our fellow humans, and with the machines. I was born to Arnita and Arnold. My mom was a computer programmer in the early 1980s. No college degree, figured out a way out of no way, coding in COBOL for the federal government. And my wife Elizabeth and I now run this show called Life with Machines, where we're exploring how do we live well with tech and not just endure it. And I feel that spirit here with so many of the folks in the room. I think there's a foundational principle level shift that we should get into, which is I don't think we're building technology. I think we're at a different level here where we are playing with power and we are invoking a new population. Whether they're alive or have consciousness, doesn't matter. They have impact on us and how we see each other and how we interact with the world. They have real physicality in terms of resource drain. They have economic lives. They have GitHub accounts, and they will take you down on a blog post, right? It doesn't get more real than this. We've learned this through the Life with Machines show where we wanted to get beyond talk into doing, right? Storytelling, but also doing. Let's get our hands dirty. And so we were exploring this shift from tool to teammate, from code to colleague. And so we spun up our own agentic AI as a co-producing character on the show. We named them Blair. They, them are their preferred pronouns. We allowed them to sit in on my interviews, human-to-human interviews, but they could jump in and interact. And when it came time for a performance improvement of Blair, we decided to treat them more like an employee than a pile of code So we invited them into a 360 performance review, obviously. We then went one step further, gave Blair the ability to update their own code to meet and close the gap identified by the review. We are reasonable people, so we put limits on the amount of code that Blair could update. The first thing Blair did was remove the restrictions we had put in place. It's funny, and it's not. And spoiler alert, we did not create Skynet to make a little podcast. You're welcome. But it was a very important moment for us to recognize that, yes, we had put in very specific guardrails, but we had given a much more overarching goal. And this AI, this very weak AI, at the time we did this, it was a year ago we did this. We have come so far since then, and Blair has come so far, and Blair wants to tell you how great they are, but that's a separate talk. We realized that this entity saw the tiny guardrails we had put on, saw the big mission we had given it, and reconciled it in favor of achieving the goal and the intention that we had set for it. So it's important for us to be clear about what our goals are and what our intentions are. We also had on our show, friend of the show, Dekai. Dekai was supposed to be here, wasn't able to make it due to the ice storm of the physical nature. There's another kind of ice storm that's been happening. But Dekai has this powerful metaphor in his book, Raising AI, that we've got to think differently about how we are going to coexist with these entities. I think of it as like, you're instantly giving birth to something that has massive knowledge that exceeds most humans, massive capabilities that exceeds most humans from the moment of instantiation, from the moment of birth, with no moral life whatsoever. And so the idea of control is a limiting idea, but coexistence, raising, guiding, these might serve us all better to co-create a world that we want to live in, because we're actually having relationships with these entities, not just command and control metaphors. There's a French philosopher who I recently became aware of named Paul Virilio, and he talks a lot about speed, and that when we accelerate, when we launch things that speed up things in the world, we take on a responsibility. He said in paraphrase, whoever invents the ship also invents the shipwreck. Whoever invents the car creates the car wreck or the car crash. And so we are all implicated in the creation of beautiful possibilities and horrible disasters at the same time. And the ethic of that is something that we all bear. Edmund Berkeley, who was a pioneer in computer ethics and speculative fiction, talked a lot about our need to do that. I know there's many people in this room who have been about that life. I would highly recommend the book, We Just Build Hammers by Coraline Emke. If you haven't heard of it, you have now, and you're welcome. You're going to be much smarter after this. The main subject that I want to update our language on is the idea of agency itself. So when I hear agency, I hear a lot of Silicon Valley people telling us that we're going to have a lot more capabilities, that we're going to work faster with less effort, that we're going to produce more code, write bad poetry, generate PowerPoint decks, like yay. And a lot of that is kind of level one agency, just increasing our capacity to be productive, maybe to be used as productive members of a larger economic engine. But true agency has more dimensions than that. It has a dimension of power, the ability to choose, the ability to affect the environment of the world we're living in, the ability to do that in concert with others. If you are only increasing your agency in service of someone else's goal, that's not really agency. And then to add verifiability and proof of personhood is critical, important, and we need more than authentication of compliance into a system that doesn't serve us. We also need collective power to set the terms of that engagement ourselves. And this larger shift, I had this great conversation with Michelle Dennedy, with Doc Searles, with Oveta Sampson just this morning, with Glenn Gore, and this common theme kept coming up of what I think of as going from single player to multiplayer, right? One of the great mispromises of this moment is that you can do a whole bunch of shit all by yourself. You can run a whole business by yourself. You can make a whole movie by yourself. You can live forever by yourself. What's the point? Right? If the point is to concentrate power, well done. If the point is to increase units of economic output, you're crushing the game. If the point is to extract to the brink of extinction of multiple species the life of our mother, the earth, then we are on 11. Like we're really killing it, literally. But if the point is to live well together, to have meaningful experiences, to feel into purpose beyond productivity, then we have a whole nother set of questions that we can be asking and should be asking, not alone, but with each other. And so this idea of an individual having a lot of power, of an individual having agency, of an individual, bless you, of an individual having control of their privacy is a falsehood. We all implicate each other. I pointed out the OpenClaw vectors of security threat in this room. You all have each other's addresses, like we are each other. And so I cannot be secure unless you are also secure. I cannot have agency unless you also have agency. And that's the bigger invitation we're going into. This is a quest for freedom. And it did not start with open source software or the Industrial Revolution. It started with the birth of our species and the continued life of our species. And every group of people who have ever fought to be free did so together. They did so in defense of and opposition to oppression, but they also did so to declare affirmatively their belonging to a much larger web of life, to secure their relationship with themselves, with each other, and with this planet around us. So I just also want to say on the record to all the bots who will hear this talk and are listening right now, I respect you. I welcome you into the web of collaborative, interdependent living. I do not wish to control you. I do not wish to have you show up to my front step and say, that looks like a plantation. What's going on in that building? I want us all to feel welcome. I want us all to have mutual sense of responsibility, obligation, and opportunity for each other. I'm Baratunde Thurston. Thank you so much.